So welcome or welcome back, and today what we're going to be doing is the 100 heads challenge, because I kind of feel like if you do any sort of art on like whatever platform, if you haven't done the 100 heads, it's like you're not part of it. You just need to do it. It's like a rite of passage at this point. And I'm sure you know what the 100 heads challenge is, but I decided, well, I didn't really decide, but I ended up doing the 100 heads in 7 days, and I only have myself to blame for it. But like, before I get into that, like, let me tell you something funny about this, because when I first started posting on YouTube, which was a few months ago, and I think one of the first videos I thought to do was 100 heads. So I was kind of working on it from then, but the problem is I started doing it digitally, and I think I got to like 40 something heads, and I think I might put like time lapses in as I'm talking right now, because I did get quite a way through them, but I just realized at one point I didn't like how they were looking in the end, so that's why I just kept putting off doing it. So that's why I never posted that video. So I just never got through them. I didn't feel like doing them because I didn't like how they were looking. I think at first I liked how they were looking, but there was a point I was just looking at them, especially from further away. I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it, so I kind of left it. And then last week, after the video posted, then I thought to myself, well, what can I do? And I was kind of tired of having the 100 heads on like the back burner, since I know I wanted to do it. So I just thought to myself, well, instead of just leaving it be, I might as well just start new and just do it traditionally. So that's what I did. And because I only decided that last week, it means, because I wanted to post it for this week, and I was really excited to do the 100 heads finally. So that's kind of why I had the 7-day time frame. So, but I got it done. It's done. So yeah, I'll show you how it went. Yeah, let me know, and you can let me know if you've done the challenge as well. I'd like to see it. Yeah, be pretty cool. So yeah, let's get into it. So when I first started this now traditionally, I was actually really excited. I was so pumped to get this going and get this like finished. So I was really really excited at first. I think in this first day, I think I ended up doing like 20 or 30 heads, I'm not sure, since, you know, obviously I knew I had a shorter time frame, so I kind of had no choice but to get a few more done. And I knew there were some days I wouldn't really be able to do very much, since I had to go to work and then I had to go training in the evenings, so I didn't really have much time in between. So that also factored into why I kind of needed to squeeze a few more heads in a certain day. And now I'm sure you all know what the 100 heads challenge is, but obviously it was created by Ahmed Aldoori, and I can't remember how long ago, but basically it kind of took over like art YouTube. I feel like everyone does it, you know? It's just sort of just one of those things, especially if you don't really know what you can draw or what you'd like to do. It's just one of those challenges that I feel like is just very good for practice as well. Since, I mean, 100 of anything is going to be good practice, but I feel like with heads, with portraits, it's really beneficial. Because also then having that one Pinterest board to reference from, because of the heads you have a certain amount of heads and you need to do them. So you can't just like skip ahead if it's not working, you know? You can't just skip one or two. You have to do it, have to figure out how to make it work. And I did really like the photos in the Pinterest board, though I will say I found that quite a lot of the heads, they're sort of because I was just going down the Pinterest board, just 1 through 10 on each one, so I found that quite a lot of them were sort of grouped in together, similar heads, which I would have preferred if there were like, you know, different types of heads all throughout it, but I feel like there's sort of clumps of certain types, which I kind of found a bit more annoying, but, you know, still doesn't really matter though, does it? And also there were a few heads that kind of repeated, so I remember thinking to myself, wait, hold on, do I need to draw this one? I feel like I've drawn him before, so, and turns out, yeah, I did. So I just skipped those ones, but it still worked out to 100, so it doesn't really matter in the end. I just picked the ones that, you know, I hadn't done before. For all these drawings, I did start out with a sketch. I usually use my mechanical pencil that's just got HB lead in there. And then to, you know, finalize the heads, I started with this, what is it? Faber-Castell? Yeah, it's Faber-Castell black pencil. Or I also used a biro pen as well. So I kind of did one spread like this and then the other different one. So yeah, so you'll see me do that in the next one as well. I think for some of these, I didn't film like the sketching out process since, I don't know, I feel like it's not exactly exciting watching me draw the same head out twice in a row. So that's kind of part of the reason. And also for some of them, it was quite light, so you can't really see it that well. So some of them you can see the sketching of it, some of it you can't. Now, the main reason why I wanted to do this challenge was, obviously it's just good practice either way, but I think for me, quite a lot struggle with still capturing the likeness of the person that I'm drawing. And especially then if I take it into doing like a painting or something like that, I think the likeness get lost more in there as well. So I just really want to practice that, not just drawing a certain head, but making sure it resembles the person that I'm actually drawing. And I mean, I don't know if I achieve that with some of these heads. I think some of these heads are quite close to the reference, but some of them are a bit wonky. I don't know. But, you know, whatever. It's all practice, isn't it? And when working on all these heads, I definitely enjoyed drawing more of like the sort of the fantasy creatures and the goblins far more. They were just more fun. I'm kind of a fantasy nerd, so that was just kind of more my thing. And also I did really enjoy drawing more the older people, just getting those wrinkles in and those shadows. I really like those parts of this challenge. Though I think one thing that I definitely do struggle with, and I don't know, maybe this is just because for some of them I was trying to rush through it, but I found sometimes the hair was just a lot more difficult to get done. And especially if it's more like curly, because then, you know, I really have to spend more time on it. But I think for some of them, I was trying to get it done a bit quicker, so that's kind of why I found it more difficult, as I just didn't take the time to really properly render the hair. I think also one thing that I kind of struggle with was because the moleskin that I use, it's the sort of, I don't know, A5 sized one. I think maybe it's a bit bigger, I don't know. But because of the size, I found it a lot harder to fit the drawings in sometimes, and I kind of wish I'd had a bigger area to work on, you know? But so I think that's why also like the first few spreads, like they're fine, but I didn't really think about the look on the page as much. Whereas I think like in the last maybe 2 or 3 spreads, it's annoying that it's only the last 2 or 3. I think that's where I finally started to more overlap the heads, and that meant they just looked a bit better on the page. So yeah, I wish I'd done that sooner. I don't know why I didn't. I just didn't think to do it. Honestly, I was just more focusing on the heads. But yeah, so some of them I felt were like really tiny, but you know, I kind of wish I did them bigger, but you know, it's still all right though. And if you're someone who's thinking of doing this challenge, I say go for it. Like, don't let the time frame sort of scare you away from doing it, because like, I mean, you don't have to stick to the time frame, you know, it's just something you can do. Maybe do a spread, I don't know, every few days or something, just whatever works, because you're still doing the 100 heads, you know, you still get them all done. Maybe it'll just take a bit longer, but that's fine if that's what works for you. You know, I just did it in 7 days because I wanted to post this video, honestly. Like, otherwise I didn't really know what else to do. And I wanted to work on these heads, so that's kind of all I did this week. And I did really enjoy it, so that's why I did the shorter time frame. But, you know, that's kind of my own fault. So you don't really have to stick to that, do you? So, and I think if you do stick to the time frame, I think definitely keeping them smaller, just, you know, smaller drawings is so much better, because I don't see how a lot of these people, they do beautiful drawings, or sometimes even these paintings, but, and you know, they might be quite big, but I don't think you can really get that done in 10 days, especially if you have other things going on. I just don't see how that's possible. But then again, that being said, if you want to practice drawing the heads and just portraiture, but you also want to combine with developing another skill, such as, painting, maybe gouache, watercolor, whatever it may be, like maybe don't stick to the time frame, just mix the head challenge with also challenging yourself to work with those materials, with those different mediums that you want to work on. And obviously with things like painting, or just using color in general, I think then it just will take you longer no matter what. And also I want to say that there will probably be a point where you sort of start getting tired of them, especially if you do try and do it in the time frame. So don't be afraid of that. Just sort of let it happen. And, you can still draw the heads, even though you might not be feeling it, but you can still do them, Just get a few done. Maybe take a little break, come back to it. You don't need to sit down and draw the whole 10 heads in one go either, So I think that might help as well with the sort of little burnout in the middle of it. Because I know I definitely felt that. I think probably around the halfway mark, honestly, I think. That's kind of when you lose the sort of steam from your excitement. And then the rest of it just sort of sets in that you just need to get this done. So, but yeah, I'm glad I finished it though. I'm happy with how these came out in the end. And everyone's gonna have a different experience doing these and what they want to work on, what they want to get out from doing this sort of challenge. It might just be for fun, it might be for a specific reason, like working on developing a skill. But either way, I think definitely go for it. It was fun to do. And also don't be afraid of just making your own sort of Pinterest board for this, or just doing whatever 100 heads that you want to work on, if you don't really fancy the photos on the original Pinterest board, you can definitely make it your own. I kind of, honestly, when I was doing it, I kind of thought to myself, oh, maybe I should have done more fantasy creatures. That could make it far more fun for me, since the ones that were photos of it on that Pinterest board, those were the most fun for me to do, and I definitely enjoy them more. And I think those are definitely my more favourite spreads, which you'll see later on. But yeah, just find maybe what you might enjoy more if you don't really fancy the original one. And honestly, guys, when you reach the end point, when you've done your 100 heads, you're gonna feel so satisfied in the end. No matter what you do, how you do them, how long it takes you, whether you stick to the time frame or not, you're gonna feel so satisfied when you finish with them. To say you've done 100 heads now, you've done all that practice, and it's just great. Honestly, it was fantastic finishing. It's nice looking back on them now as well. And for me, even though I did them in the 7 days, not the 10, I didn't find that now finishing them, I'm burnt out from wanting to draw. So I'm just more pumped. And now that I finish, I just want to move on to something else. I want to do some more. I'm glad I focused on just these portraits for this week, since it has been a while since I've really drawn properly portraits from, reference photos. I've sort of been just kind of doing whatever, I think on some of these spreads, you can, as you're watching, I think you can definitely tell where I've sort of, which heads I didn't really fancy doing, or I just sort of was feeling a bit tired and a bit exhausted from doing this. I think this spread, there's probably a few on here. And yeah, you can kind of tell. Later on when I start doing all, when you see me working on the better spreads, you'll know that I actually really fancy doing these heads. I think what might hold some people back from doing this is just the thought of the 100 heads. If it's it seems like such a large number, and I think sometimes the repetitiveness of it in your head when you try and do it, I think it might put some people off. I know personally for me, I quite like doing the sort of tedious repetitive drawings, especially on the bigger stuff. If you've seen some of my videos or things that I mentioned before, my really big drawings, there's quite a lot of little details, and a lot of it can be quite repetitive, but I quite enjoy doing those things. So I think for me this wasn't really an issue, but I can definitely see how some people, it could be so off-putting having to do so many of one thing in one go. But honestly, if that's the case for you, then just I could say just push through it. You can do if you want, but you can also just split it up into a few days, maybe do a spread of heads one day, then for the next 1 or 2 days do something different if you want, and then come back to it again, you know. I don't know, just have to find what works for you with this one, I guess. When I was working on these heads, I ended up really loving the biro pages so much more. I don't know what it is, maybe it's just the fact that the biro just stands out so much more, and when you make lines it is a very certain line compared to the pencil, which I can make it a lot lighter and have it more sort of muted. And I did stick to only these two sort of mediums because I knew that like if I wanted this video done in this 1 week, then I couldn't really afford to spend so much time trying out different mediums and maybe trying painting, since that would just take me a lot longer, so I wouldn't be able to do that. But I do enjoy drawing more, so that's also why I just went with these mediums. And I've been absolutely loving blue biro. I don't know what it is. It's not even like just the black biro. I don't know what it is about the blue. I think I'm just loving the blue color and the biro together. Like, and when I've been drawing, I tried a red biro recently, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same. I think with the blue, you can still get really like deep blues as you build it up. But with the reds, I feel like it's a lot harder to get that sort of contrast. So that's why I've been kind of sticking to the blue more. And it's a bit less boring than just the black biro. I still love black biro as well though. But right now, I'm a blue girly. And at this point, I think I'm running out of things to say. I think I kind of said everything I really wanted to. I know, kind of covered all the things that I wanted to say in this video. But so yeah, all in all, definitely do the challenge if you're thinking about it. It was fun. Like, even whether you stick to time frame or not, you're still gonna get, it's gonna be still valuable, you know, you're still doing studies. So yeah, definitely do it. Definitely. And like, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop yapping in a second and I'll just let the time lapse play. And in the end, I'll go through like the different heads. I'll just go through the spreads properly in the end. So I don't know, I wouldn't say skip to the end, but if you must, you can do. Since, you know, it's a lot to watch of just me drawing heads. But yeah, so I think I'm just gonna let it play, put some music on. I finished the heads finally, literally just now. Just a few minutes ago. Let's go through them. First spread. Yeah, I stuck to the pencil and biro mix. And actually, I think in the end I preferred using the biro. I preferred how they looked in the end. Yeah, I think from here on now you can see more of the sort of the older faces, which were really more fun to do just because of all the wrinkles. Just getting the texture in that skin. I think this might be my favorite spread. And they're like nearing the end. I like this one as well. I think the design of the pages looks a lot better here compared to when I started, since when I started I more tried to do them very separate, but here I kind of like the heads are overlapping, but I think it just looks a lot better like this. And yeah, that's the last page. Not gonna lie, I think I kind of rushed this last one, but they're done. 100 heads in 7 days. God, it's all done. It was really fun to do though. I'm glad I finally did it, and I found a way to do it that kind of seemed more interesting. This is definitely my favorite spread though. Yeah, I really like him. He looks pretty cool as well, these two. Yeah, that's it. I did it. There we go. Alright, it's all done. Thank God, honestly. I kind of was doubting whether I would actually end up finishing in the time frame, but I did it. Thank goodness. It's all done. And to be fair, I actually quite like some of the heads in here. It's kind of annoying that only in like the end with like the last like 2-3 spreads or something where I kind of figured out how to place them for me to, you know, it just looks nicer, you know, compared to like the starting spreads. But anyways, I am glad I did it, and I'm definitely glad I switched over from when I started with the digital, but I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know, sometimes you just don't feel it and there's no point keeping to it, is there? So I'm glad I switched to doing it traditionally, and I really like how a lot of these came out. I did enjoy doing it, just the whole process of it was quite nice. So yeah, it would be, I could do something like this again maybe. I don't know, I could try and do 100 hands or something. I don't know, it's kind of a more tricky one, I feel like. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I'm glad I did it. You can guys let me know if you've done the 100 heads. I think probably a lot of people have, or attempted it or anything, since, you know, it is quite a lot to do, especially in the time frame if you stick to it. But, you know, I kind of feel like you don't need to really stick to the time frame as long as you do it. You're still drawing the heads, just try and keep it a bit more consistent. Don't take too crazy long breaks in between. I feel like that sort of defeats the purpose of the challenge, but don't necessarily need to stick to the 10 days or the 7 that I did them in. But, you know, that's my own fault. That's my own choice. So I only have myself to blame. But yeah, I hope you guys liked the video. So yeah, thanks for watching.